right, everyone. Welcome to the Manifest Monday Magic and Mindset call. We hold this call every single Monday, 9 to 9:30 Eastern on Zoom. Usually we connect as a community, but today we have a pre-recorded session for you. So, as we begin every single week, these calls were meant to, for a lot of us that were overthinkers, or a lot of us perfectionists, or a lot of us, especially type A entrepreneurs or career people that move into our weeks with like lots and lots of rush. Like, how do we slow down, and instead of just doing the same things we've been doing with the grind and the hustle, how do we slow down and learn to like attract and live our lives with more flow and ease as we grow into this abundance? So as we begin this week off to a great start, let's start as we always do. Let's start by just taking a moment and really feeling into what has given you so much love, joy, appreciation, or gratitude over the past week or weekend. This is the beginning of it, right? What can we be so grateful for that happened for us over the past week and weekend? Something that happened with your family, or something you did for yourself, or an experience that you had, or maybe just going for a walk. Like, what was the highlight reel for you? And that begins by setting the tone and setting the vibrations as we move into, right, this coming week. By starting with this, we open up that little portal to positivity, to vibrations, to matching us with everything that is out there. So now that we're kind of doing that, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, which would be awesome, type it into the chat. Type it into the chat. What is giving you love, gratitude, and joy over the past week or weekend? I'd also encourage you that if you are hesitating and don't necessarily want to share that with the world, that's okay, and to have an internal moment. But I'd also invite you to explore what it is about sharing your love, your joy with the world. What is it about that makes you want to hide that? Because there's another piece of you that is also hiding and not allowing that acceptance and that receiving to happen, by you not embracing and kind of going outward. It's part of our job, right, is to also play in the shadow along with playing in the light, right? Light workers are all about love, joy, gratitude, and happiness. At the same time, right, there's the beautiful duality that does exist, right? We can't have the happiness or the light or the joy without sometimes the fear or the darkness or the competition, or a lot of it stems from fear. So speaking of that, because we live a life unlimited, and that's the name of our little community, I wanted to talk about today a topic, and we've covered it gently in a bunch of our little calls, but I wanted to kind of really, I was feeling into this to talk about today, because this has been definitely something that I have been challenged with my entire life. So if you've heard this, kind of let's roll with this a little bit and just feel into this with me, because even if we feel like we've moved on from some growth and we've taken that lesson and we moved on, there's usually another layer of the onion that we have to peel away. My peeling away of layers is the need to please others, the need to provide, right? The need to be important, or the need to be seen and to be heard. But these are all going to come back to these structures are formed when we're children, right? We've talked about this a lot. And if it's your first time hearing this, right, from between the ages of 2 and 6, and then again from 6 and 26, we come up with every single thing we can possibly need to survive, and we program it into this beautiful machine called the brain, right? Everything that we do or don't do, or say or don't say, and how we act, and even the clothes that we wear, what we say in front of others, what extracurriculars we pick, what friends group we chose to have in high school, all of these things are a result and culmination of some deep-seated program that we have, right? It stems from the very, very, very beginning of just wanting to be accepted into a tribe, right? Like, when we were indigenous peoples all running around, like, how do we be accepted into a tribe? Well, we do that by being of service or being of value. We do that by not pissing everybody else off. We do that by not being a jerk. So these are programs that are just locked into our brain, locked into these computers. And maybe growing up, some of us might have had some trauma around that, either in our families or our friend groups. Whether it's, really light, like Sally won't play with me on the playground because of this, or because I look like this, or because I dress this way, or I said something wrong in class, or maybe it's, I didn't do well on a test, and, my mom or dad didn't speak to me for a week because of that. Or I got grounded and was forced to go into my room, right, and self-soothe, learn to self-soothe. What does that even mean? So we get accustomed to, okay, well, now I have to be the overachiever and the smart kid. Or if I do this, then I get love from my parents. If I do this, then I can acquire more people that appreciate me and I can have more friends. And the program here, more friends equals safety. More friends equals being accepted by the tribe, right? More friends or having love for my parents or being accepted by others means I get to live longer. Ultimately, these are deep-rooted belief systems that are in some of our brains, right? And it was definitely a challenge growing up with that. It served me in so many ways. They called me the connector, right? Because I could be in high school and we had like the sports guys over here and we had the drama people over here and we had the smokers over here and we had like these different groups. And I was the guy that could mold myself to everyone around me. And I could even try to connect the groups once in a while, right? Like, hey, you should come over here and check these guys out. You should come over here. So I became that person, that connector. And that followed me. It followed me into college and it followed me into my career. And it then became something more than what it even was. It became, what can I do, right? What can I do to make everyone happy in this moment? What can I do to please everyone around me? Now, let's feel into that for a minute. For those of you who've experienced this people-pleasing thing, I want you just to close your eyes just for a second and feel into, right? What's one instance where you had a choice to make, you had a decision to make, and you just knew that any decision you made in that moment was going to make someone else completely feel dis-ease, or completely be angry, or upset, or frustrated, or sad, whatever that might be. And so what some of us did is we hesitated. We froze. I can't make that decision. That becomes a procrastination, and that becomes stagnant energy, and it's not moving. We can't move because we don't want to make this person unhappy, or this person sad, or this person frustrated. This was an ongoing theme for me. And ultimately, right, learning, especially through business and entrepreneurship, that boundaries were necessary. And here's another belief that I started to come into really, really, really feeling into myself. And I'm still now 15 years into this journey of understanding that we have stories and beliefs and programs, and 5 years into this big spiritual awakening, I still find myself all the time, well, how do I make this person happy? Right? And I do that at the sacrifice of not sharing what I need to share, or putting me in a place that puts me out, right? Or me taking a loss to have that other person feel okay. A friend of mine that was going through a really, really difficult relationship where she was kind of in an emotionally abusive relationship. She had a great line. She said, I am no longer willing to burn the clothes on my body to keep you warm. Right? So in this people pleasing, and then we come to this place where we realize we have to stand up for ourselves. We have to have these boundaries. We have to set these rules, or else we're completely walked all over. We're completely taken advantage of. And the worst part is, the whole thing that we actually want, right, which was to be accepted or to be loved, we're not even taken seriously because of our desire to have wanted to blend in, to mold. Well, who are we if we're just blending in? Who are we if we're just molding ourselves to every situation around us? If we're a chameleon and we blend in and shift and change based on our situation, shift and change based on our circumstances and our external environment. Another thing, right, that we've learned in this work is that so long as we're not okay up here in our mind, when we've learned to continue to have these programs that we now have to unlearn, that we now have to choose a better story or a better program to function as an ultimately divine being of light, a spirit and a human body that's looking for complete happiness, love, joy, and enlightenment in this life, right? In order to do that, we have to find our authentic voice. We have to come to the understanding that anything that we can possibly do will offend others, will not be everyone's cup of tea, will not be appropriate, right? Even just dropping some swears in some of these, right? Like, I fucking don't care anymore. I used to, a lot. I don't give a fuck anymore if I offend people, because I know that when I share my authentic voice, when I share my messaging, when I do the work that I know I'm being called to do, the people who need to find it will find it. If you are operating in your family or in your business, and you're doing it because you think this is what other people will like to do, right? Instead of doing it to fulfill a deep-seated mission or purpose for yourself, you can check that. You can blend these things together. You can live your life's purpose and fulfill a deep-seated mission and provide value and service to the community and provide and receive money in exchange, right? And be an entrepreneur and do this for a living. What speaks to you louder than all the other people's needs around you? This becomes an exercise, and there's a practice to it. First, getting out of this practice, I had a friend and mentor. She's one of my hard money lenders. Her name was Anne. A lot of you might know her from my real estate people. When I was in the heat of my people pleasing, and at the time I was, having contractors kind of walk all over me. I was in the real estate business, and I was jumping over and beyond for, partners and investors, and way even for our sellers that we were working with, like going way overboard and like showing up and being of heart, but also kind of going overboard with like helping them move, helping them change their beliefs around moving, helping them with their family situations and forgiving others. Like, we went overboard because that's what I felt I had to do. And specifically where it came to, working with crews, contractors, and staff, and the hard money lender, Ann, she said, I just would like to see you be an asshole just once. And it was the funny way she said it was funny. So I took her up in the challenge. I'm like, you want me to be an asshole? I'm going to be an asshole 5 times this year. And I'm going to send you a note every single time that happens, and you can judge my asshole-ish, right? And I believe that was like 2013. And it's so funny because that year started to shift everything for me. Me even thinking that I was an asshole, I'm not being an asshole. I was just setting up boundaries. I was just saying, this is your job. This is my job. This is what you should do. This is what I will do. And we can have a symbiotic relationship with that sense. Instead of making sure everybody else is always okay. Because no one is ever going to be okay. As long as we have programs and beliefs and a different lens and a different perspectives. So long as we have a whole different childhood experience with all of our traumas and our situations, and you have your traumas and your situations, and every single thing that we've ever done or not done, every situation we've ever been in or not been in, brought us to this place where we see the world through this different lens, different glasses. So therefore, the things that might make me and get me excited and get me passionate and get me riled up are not the same things that make you excited, get you passionate, make you riled up. So what is it for you? What is that authentic message or that authentic thing that you have not yet created because you're afraid of what others will think? What's something that's holding you back now you don't want to necessarily share, you don't want to do, because you're so focused on what other people, other souls, other lenses and perspectives and experiences, what they're going to think of what you're going to do. So embrace the triggers. Even embrace any offense that people take, because it has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with their lens, their perspective, and them working through what they need to work through in this life to become an enlightened being themselves. So embrace all this for what it's worth, and for you people pleasers out there, I see you, I feel you, and I know it's a struggle, and know that if you've just found boundaries, if you've just found being able to give yourself some space and give yourself permission to do or not do things, or give yourself permission to say certain things, that's you finding your true self. It's not you being an asshole. So feel into that for whoever needs that today. Either way, would really appreciate if you typed into the chat, if you shared this message with somebody that you care about. And we'd always, as always, invite you to join us every other Monday, 9 to 9:30 Eastern, where we jump on Zoom and have a conversation as a community. So we'll end, as usual, with just a very brief meditation to start our week. Deep breath in. As we go into this week, filled with complete possibility everywhere we look, filled with love, prosperity, and abundance all over and all around, we recognize that to be able to feel into all the miracles that are happening around us, we begin with gratitude. We begin with compassion. We begin with loving ourselves so unconditionally, which opens up and allows for the portal of receiving to come in with this energy of wisdom, energy of love, energy of money, energy of all that it is that we desire. As we look around in our lives, we see everything for what it truly is. We acknowledge and recognize the beauty that there is in seeing the world through a different lens than other people. We recognize the beauty of our perspective and how sharing our perspective without holding anything back is our authentic message. By creating that thing or that service or that program, by doing the thing that we're scared of because we don't know what others will think, we don't want rejection, we don't want the abandonment, we don't want to displease people, knowing that the longer that we sit in that discomfort, in that inaction, there are other people in the world that need what you have to offer. So this is your opportunity to lean in, stop being selfish, and to give ultimately everything you have to share. 76 years is such a blip on this planet. It's just a blink of an eye, and we get to experience this life for everything that it is. We get to have all of the experiences with loved ones. We get to deepen our relationships, deepen our connection with ourselves and with Source, plan certain small trips, plan taking care of ourselves. And as we move into alignment with all that there is for us this week, let's remember the 3 questions that we get to answer for ourselves. 1, how do we show up for ourselves and love ourselves better in this moment? 2, who do we choose to show up for in a meaningful way? And 3, what's one step you can do today that moves you towards that which brings you the most excitement or passion in your life? With reflection on those 3 questions, We'll now seal this meditation as we head into our week, knowing that the tasks and the busyness and the income generating activities and the meetings will all be there for you. But you get to create time for you. This is your moment. This can be your week, if you choose. We'll seal with a deep breath in. Thank you all for joining me, my loves. I'll see you next week.